Discovered 18 years later, a millionaire stunned by a lawyer's unexpected transformation. Jack Thompson felt his heart pound in his chest as he stared at the shimmering invitation that seemed to promise everything he had once dreamed of. A charity gala in the city, the kind of high society affair where the elite mingled amid chandeliers and laughter. It made his small-town garage feel a million miles away. Why was he even considering going? A lifelong resident of Maplewood, Jack had always been the go-to guy, lending a hand to anyone who needed it. But the thought of crossing into a world of silk and suits left an unsettling pit in his stomach. And yet, the name printed on the corner of that golden invite sent ripples of emotion racing through him. Sarah. His childhood friend, the one who vanished without a trace after her family's collapse, was now a successful lawyer. Memories of them riding bikes through Maplewood flooded his mind, harmonized with the echoes of defeat when she left. The anticipation mixed with dread, gnawing at him. Had Sarah traded their dreams for wealth? As the night approached, an uncomfortable tension bubbled within him, wrestling with the fleeting hope that things wouldn't have to be as complicated as they seemed. Walking into the banquet hall, Jack was swallowed by the flickering lights and murmurs of politeness that floated through the air like smoke. Beautifully dressed couples glided past him, and he felt absurd in his old jeans and a button-up shirt that had seen too many barbecue sauce stains. Every step he took felt heavy, the world around him a whirlwind of elegance that only magnified his insecurities as he mentally calculated how many oil changes it took to equal one of those designer dresses. And then he saw her. Sarah stood across the room, radiant and seemingly untouched by time or trouble. Their eyes locked, and for a brief moment, everything else faded away. Memories came flooding back, soft rays of sunlight breaking through the clouds of their shared past. The laughter, the secrets whispered under the stars. But a palpable tension lingered, thick with unspoken words and tangled emotions. "Jack!" she exclaimed, her voice sharp and eager, yet laced with an undercurrent of confusion. They were standing on opposite sides of an invisible divide, one built from years of distance and choice. He tried to hide the tumult inside. One part of him wanted to yell, to ask why she had left him behind, while another part, more vulnerable, just wanted to connect, to bridge the gap that stretched like a chasm between them. "It's great to see you, Sarah," he said, forcing a smile. But every quirk of his lips felt hollow, a facade holding together the weight of truth. She was doing well, extremely well, judging from the glint of her designer jewelry and the impressive title that accompanied her name. Jack couldn't help but wonder what roads lay behind her polished surface.
As they exchanged pleasantries, Sarah revealed her mission. She was using her success to advocate for families like theirs, empowering those struggling in the shadows of affluence. Jack's breath caught. Was she truly giving back, breaking the cycle they had both loathed? It struck him deeply, the realization that he had been measuring success by a narrow metric, convinced that wealth equated to worthiness. Suddenly, he felt small and suffocated, a man defined by mere survival. Before they could delve deeper, the gala's atmosphere shifted, the murmurs crescendoed, voices rose like waves crashing on a beach. Inequality was the topic of discussion, uncomfortable and real, just as Jack's internal battle raged. Was it too late for him to redefine success? To break free from a life dictated by bills and grease-stained hands? The questions loomed over him like the flickering chandelier overhead, refusing to dim. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can, drop a like. It really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Jack's chest tightened, he realized his heart ached not only for the past he had lost, but for the future he feared was slipping through his fingers. Would he ever achieve what he had once wanted? Their paths had diverged so dramatically, yet here they stood, both grappling with immense internal struggles. In that moment, Jack found himself compelled to confront the truth yet again. The night was far from over, and with every tick of the clock, he sensed momentum building. The question remained, could he forgive himself for the dreams unrealized? Would this evening lead to closure, or just deeper questions that haunted him? A flicker of hope was kindled within him, but he wasn't sure if it was stronger than the looming shadows. Jack's eyes swept the room, taking in the laughter dancing around him like flames. It felt surreal, almost glitzy, and yet he stood there, feeling heavy in the midst of it all. A part of him wanted to shrink into the background, to escape the gaze of those shimmering eyes on a stranger in their paradise.
But Sarah was there, and she had pulled him back into this world he hardly recognized. "Let's step outside for a moment," Sarah suggested, her voice cutting through the clamor of chatter. The urge to leave the cacophony behind propelled Jack to nod, even as a flare of nerves twisted in his stomach. The balcony offered a brief reprieve, the cool night air brushing against their heated conversation.
Below, the city twinkled like stars sprawled across the cosmos, and for a moment the grandeur above felt like a reflection of the lives they had chosen. One lived in excess, the other in a cozy, familiar simplicity. "Jack," she began, her tone softer now, "I know this is a lot, but I wanted you to see that life can change. It can mean something different from what we imagined back then." Her eyes sparkled with an unwavering passion, and he wondered how much courage it took for her to stand up for the lost families and call for change. "Yeah, but what about everything we had? The dreams?" He felt his defenses rising, a wall built of resentment and confusion. "Why did you go? Why didn't you ever look back? Did it mean so little to you?" Silence enveloped them, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Jack struggled to breathe, the cold creeping in around him as emotions clenched like a fist. "Because I thought leaving would mean saving both of us the pain," she finally replied, her voice trembling. "I didn't want you to define yourself by our hardships. I wanted you to have a chance at something more." Her honesty struck him, raw and unfiltered, and for a second he wanted to reach out, to hold on to that flicker of understanding. But doubt gnawed at him. Their past wasn't a fairy tale. "And yet here you are," he said softly, his frustration melting into something more desperate. "You're thriving while I'm stuck. Did you really never look back, Sarah?" A deep sigh escaped her. "Jack, I've always carried those memories with me. It's not about forgetting where we came from, but it's about choosing where to go next. You can't keep waiting for a second chance to come from somewhere else. It has to start within you." Her words hit him hard, as if she had cracked open a door he had thought was sealed shut. Hope mingled with anger, and for the first time a flicker of clarity emerged. What was stopping him? Maybe he had lambasted himself into this corner, an easier life with comfortable shadows, refusing to ask for more. As the laughter from inside the gala waned into the background, something shifted within him. "So, what now?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Sarah's gaze sparked with an invitation to explore deeper. "Let's not go back inside just yet. We can help each other rediscover those dreams, together." A mix of relief and uncertainty rustled in his chest. They were standing on the brink of something monumental, but would he have the courage to stride forward? And more importantly, in this second chance, would he be able to confront what lay ahead? As that precarious balance hung in the air, a commotion erupted from the gala. Jack turned to see people gathering, heads bent together, voices rising in urgency. His heart raced. "What's happening?" he asked, anxiety creeping back in. "I don't know," Sarah replied, her eyes darting toward the crowd, "but something tells me it's about to change everything." The evening surprises were not done yet, and Jack could feel the spark of transformation crackling in the air. What awaited them inside? And would this night truly become a turning point in both their lives? The question lingered, tantalizing and uncertain, urging him to find out. The crowd inside the gala shifted like a restless sea, a tide of curiosity and hushed whispers pulling everyone toward the center of the commotion. Jack could feel his heart thumping louder in his chest, the adrenaline coursing through him, pushing away the pain of the weight he had been carrying for too long. "What do you think it is?" he asked, his voice strained as he tried to catch Sarah's eye. But she was already stepping forward, her determination evident in every movement. He followed reluctantly, pushing through the gathering guests, each face reflecting a mix of shock and anticipation. As they reached the front, Jack's breath caught. It was a woman, a familiar silhouette framed by the sparkling backdrop of the event. Her voice rang out, clear and steady, cutting through the noise. "I am not just a face in the crowd anymore." At that moment, Jack recognized her, a lawyer who had once stood in their small-town courthouse, defending families like his. The image of her poring over case files in a cluttered office filled his mind. She had fought fiercely for a community that had lost so much. Now she stood before the high society, her presence commanding respect. Sarah leaned closer, her excitement palpable. "That's Lisa. She left for the city to become a lawyer, remember?" Jack nodded, but his mind raced. He had always admired Lisa, her passion, her tenacity, but this was a different side of her. This was the part of life Sarah had told him about. It was a transformation, a blossoming into something so much larger. As Lisa continued to speak, Jack's thoughts drifted. Was this what Sarah meant? That people could reinvent themselves? That dreams could be reshaped and reclaimed? He glanced at Sarah, whose eyes sparkled with hope. Somehow Lisa's journey was igniting sparks within him too. I've spent years fighting for justice, Lisa continued, but it's time to give back to the community that raised me. We can rebuild together. The crowd erupted, applause erupting like fireworks, echoing off the grand walls. Jack felt a swell of emotion. Each clap resonated with the possibility of change, not just for Lisa, but maybe for him as well. Could he break free from the past that held him shackled? The thought danced tantalizingly on the edge of his consciousness. "Jack, we should talk to her," Sarah suggested. The excitement in her voice broke him from his reverie. Talk to her? The idea felt both thrilling and terrifying. What would he even say? But before he could overthink it, Sarah urged him forward. They approached Lisa, who was radiant, accepting congratulations with grace. But when she saw them, her face lit up with recognition. "Jack, Sarah."
I can't believe it. Emotions danced in the air like the shimmering lights above. For a moment, they were transported back to a time when they all had dreams, driving toward a collective hope. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and their past felt not like a weight, but like a thread that could connect them to a brighter future. Your speech? It was incredible, Jack managed, trying to catch the fullness of the moment. You've really changed. You're inspiring. Thanks. I can't tell you how much I want to help where I came from, Lisa replied, her clarity almost like a guiding light for him. You can too, Jack. It's never too late to chase those dreams. Her words settled deep within Jack, igniting a flame. Still, doubt slithered into his mind. But what if I've waited too long? What if it's too late for me? Lisa smiled knowingly. The only way to fail is not to try, Jack. Look at Sarah. Look at me. We had to take the leap. Jack turned to Sarah, her eyes full of encouragement, expecting nothing less than his courage on display. And in that moment, something changed. You're right, he breathed, and he felt the rush, the thrill of possibility. They had walked a long road to this moment. But as he looked back at the crowd again, he noticed a shadow lurking just beyond the light, someone listening, watching closely, and their gaze felt charged with something unfathomable. The thrill of newfound hope wrestled with an unexpected tension that twisted in his gut. Just then, the doors swung open wider, revealing a stranger stepping through, a sense of peril shadowing their intent. Jack's heart raced again. Who was that? And what did they want? Was this transformation on the cusp of something even bigger? Or were they about to be pulled back into the shadows they had just started to escape? The night felt charged, electric with the unknown. Would they embrace this change? Or would the past come crashing down around them? The stranger stepped fully into the room, and Jack's initial spark of hope dimmed in the face of uncertainty. Tall and stern, with an air of authority that seemed to draw the attention of everyone, their eyes were sharp and unsettling. Jack noticed the murmurs ripple through the crowd as they shifted their gazes toward this newcomer. "Who is that?" he whispered to Sarah, who was now fixated on the figure. She shook her head, her brows furrowed. It was clear she felt the weight of the moment as deeply as he did. "I don't know, but they seem familiar," she whispered back, eyes widening. The strangers surveyed the room, their gaze finally locking onto Lisa, who stood still in her moment of triumph. It was a gaze that spoke volumes, a mix of challenge and something darker. Jack felt the air grow thick. A storm was brewing, and he could sense the lightning in the atmosphere. Lisa smiled, faltered for just a second, a flicker of recognition that she quickly masked. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice steady, but that touch of unease lingered just beneath the surface. "You could say that," the stranger replied, their tone cool and collected. "We have unfinished business." The crowd tensed, hushed whispers fizzling into the background. Each person seemed to hold their breath. Jack could feel the heartbeat of the gala quickening around him. As the tension crackled between them, Jack's mind raced. What did that mean? Unfinished business? Jack couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was unfolding might pull Lisa back into a part of her life she was trying to escape, a past that could choke the bright future she was building. Maybe, Sarah's eyes darted between Lisa and the stranger, maybe they know something about her past, something she didn't disclose? I don't know if that's good or bad, Jack muttered, anxiety creeping back into his veins. He could see the flickers of uncertainty dance in Lisa's usually confident demeanor. As the stranger continued, the surrounding guests leaned in, eager for drama, the anticipation heavy in the air. You've taken something from me, Lisa. Something I will not allow you to walk away with. Lisa straightened, her resolve reestablishing itself. Jack admired her fighting spirit, but he felt the shadow of doubt creeping into their moment. What do you want? She replied, every word laced with courage. This sudden charge of emotion electrified Jack. This was the woman he knew, the fighter, the dreamer. But he couldn't ignore the fear sneaking in, shrouding this pivotal moment in uncertainty. I want what you owe me. Your success is built on the wreckage of your past. All of it will come to light if you don't handle this properly, the stranger warned, a smirk curling their lips. Wreckage? What could possibly be behind this threat? Jack fought the urge to step between them, feeling an instinct to protect Lisa swell within his chest. He looked to Sarah, whose expression mirrored his, a shared concern for what this meant for their lives. Jack, we need to support her, Sarah whispered urgently. She needs to stay strong. If this person has something on her, we can't let them intimidate her. Yes, but how? Jack replied, wringing his hands in frustration. Just then, tears welled in Lisa's eyes, her composure wavering. You don't know what you're doing, she said, her voice breaking beneath the weight of resolve. I have moved on. The stranger's smirk deepened. Moving on doesn't erase the past, Lisa. I'm just here to remind you. Jack felt the chill creep down his spine. The stakes had risen. This wasn't just a gala. It was a battlefield of their lives. Stay close, Sarah whispered tightly. We can't let her face this alone. As they formed a small circle of support around Lisa, the crowd buzzed with a mix of excitement and horror. Jack took a shaky breath, ready to stand up for Lisa. But he knew that this was only the beginning. What secrets would be unearthed?
What bonds would be tested? Suddenly, the air felt suffocating as Jack caught the storm clouds swirling in the stranger's eyes. Was the past truly just a specter, or was it poised to drag them back into the depths from where they were trying to rise? The fear surged within him again. What awaited them in the shadows? The glorious light of a new beginning, or the dark memories entwined in a fight for survival? Lisa's heartbeat echoed in her ears, drowning out the noise of the crowd. The stranger had laid open a truth she had fought hard to bury, and now it threatened to rip her world apart. Memories she had been desperate to forget clawed their way back to the surface, and for the first time in years, she felt vulnerable and exposed. The way the stranger's eyes pierced through her sharpened the sense of panic rising within her. Enough games. You're the one who's going to end this, Lisa, the stranger pressed, their voice a low growl that sent chills down her spine. Jack could see the fire flicker in her eyes, the fight igniting. I don't owe you anything. I've worked for everything I have, she shot back, her voice gaining strength with each word. The crowd seemed to lean in closer, hungry for the resolution to this conflict, but for Jack, the tension was unbearable. Is that your opinion, or just what you tell yourself? The stranger countered, their tone dripping with venom. You're living a lie if you think you've escaped. Stop, Sarah interjected, stepping forward, her protective instincts kicking in. Her voice cut through the thick air, drawing both Lisa and the stranger's attention. She looked momentarily to Jack, seeking support in the urgency of the moment. Jack nodded, feeling the weight of the situation press down on him. He couldn't let this unknown force overshadow everything they had worked for, everything Lisa stood for. Let's take this outside and talk, he offered, trying to diffuse the situation, though he knew the stranger wouldn't easily back down. Oh, Jack, the stranger chuckled darkly, but this is where the show gets interesting. They tilted their head, studying the scene with enjoyment, as if their words were a puppet string tugging at everyone's emotions. The crowd was a mixture of concern and thrill, the faint sound of whispers mingled with the clinking of champagne glasses. Jack could feel the collective breath of the audience as they waited for the next blow to land. He had to act, but how? There was something in the stranger's eyes that spoke of deeper knowledge, a history he couldn't begin to understand. Lisa, talk to me, Jack urged, stepping closer to her, cutting the space between them, and letting the intensity of his gaze reassure her. "You're not alone. We'll face whatever this is together." Tears streamed down her cheeks, but her resolve hardened. "You don't understand what's at stake." Her voice trembled slightly, but there was a fierce determination behind it.
"I've made sacrifices to be here. I can't let them take it away." The stranger scoffed. "Sacrifices? What are those compared to the truth? You think you've earned your place, but it's built on theft, and I'm just here to claim what's rightfully mine." Their gaze flitted between Lisa and Jack, a predator toying with its prey. Jack's heart raced. "What are you talking about? What did she take from you?" The desperation spilled from his lips as he struggled to connect the dots. Lisa drew in a sharp breath, the weight of the words hanging heavy as silence fell over the venue. "I didn't take anything," she began, but the truth hovered behind her lips, as if the very act of speaking risked undoing all her hard work. "Not yet," the stranger interrupted, their smirk never faltering. "But you will when the truth comes out." Jack felt the ground shift beneath him. A pit opened in his stomach. Was there something Lisa had never shared? Something that tied her to this stranger? The fear of losing her to her past chilled him. Before he could think, he reached out and grasped Lisa's hand. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together," he forced out, more for his own reassurance than hers. As the crowd continued to murmur, the stranger turned, their expression a mask of calculated satisfaction. "Let's see how strong your bond is when those skeletons come out of the closet." Jack's grip tightened on Lisa's hand. He couldn't help but wonder, what truth awaited them, and would they emerge unscathed? The crowd held its breath, each person caught in the tension. As whispers swirled around them, Jack steeled himself for what was surely going to be a fight neither of them was prepared for. "Lisa, I need you to trust me, but I need to know everything," Jack implored, desperation slipping through his voice. Just as she opened her mouth to reply, the lights flickered ominously, a dark omen hanging over the gala. What had Lisa hidden that was so dangerous it had drawn this figure back into her life? And would their world ever be the same? The lights dimmed further, casting eerie shadows around them. Jack felt Lisa's hand tremble in his grip, a physical manifestation of the storm brewing inside her. He looked around at the crowd, faces painted with curiosity and concern, every whisper seeming to echo loudly in the heavy silence. The stranger's gaze never wavered, that predatory smirk lingering as if they had already won. "Are you ready to tell him, Lisa?" the stranger urged, leaning in as if savoring the tension. "What's more important, your precious image or the truth?" Lisa's breath came in short gasps, her eyes darting away, searching the crowd for a lifeline but finding none. Jack squeezed her hand, willing her to see that whatever this was, they could face it together. He was her partner in every way that mattered. "Don't look away from me, Lisa," he said, his voice steady but laced with urgency. "Whatever you're hiding, it's not going to change how I feel about you." The stranger chuckled, a low rumbling sound that made Jack's skin crawl. "Oh, but it will. The truth has a way of tearing bonds apart, doesn't it?" "What do you want?" Lisa finally managed, her voice surprisingly strong despite the trembling edges. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you deserve to know the truth," the stranger replied, their smile growing wider, more sinister. "And perhaps to make amends, or face consequences. Either way, I'm here to remind you of what you've tried to leave behind." Jack felt the world around them blur as his focus sharpened on Lisa. He knew that whatever this was, it wasn't about him. This was about her past, memories she had clearly shielded herself from. "You don't have to do this alone," he said softly. "You have me." The crowd had gone quiet, every eye locked onto the unfolding drama. Jack could sense the collective tension in the air, thick enough to slice with a knife. He caught a glimpse of Sarah, concern etched in her features, her eyes darting between Jack and Lisa, as if trying to decipher the source of this new danger. 3 years, Lisa. That's how long you've been building your new life," the stranger taunted, their voice dripping with mockery. "How long you've been pretending to be someone you're not." I'm not pretending," Lisa stammered, fighting back tears. "This is me." "Is it?" the stranger shot back, bold and relentless. "Tell him how you got here. Tell him who you were." The room buzzed with anticipatory energy. Jack's heart sank as Lisa's face paled. Memories, long buried, flickered across her expression. "All I wanted was to escape my past," she finally whispered. "I ran from it."
ran. The stranger's voice was full of venomous delight. You stole your way to freedom. And now, don't you think it's time the truth caught up with you? Jack's throat tightened. The implications swirled in his mind, a maelstrom of confusion and fear. What are you talking about? What did she steal? Before Lisa could respond, the lights went out completely, plunging the gala into darkness. The sudden silence was deafening, broken only by the frantic whispers of the crowd. Panic washed over him. Without a second thought, he turned to Lisa. "Stay close to me." But as the lights flickered back on, the stranger was gone, replaced by a buzzing crowd filled with murmurs and apprehension. What just happened? Jack's mind raced as he scanned the frantic faces around him. "Jack?" Lisa's voice trembled, a fragile whisper amidst the chaos. "I don't know how to explain this." "Then we'll figure it out together," he said firmly, his heart pounding in sync with the chaos around them. Whatever her past, whatever she feared, they'd face it side by side. Just then, something glinted in the corner of his eye, a piece of paper fluttering on the floor with handwriting that looked familiar.
He bent down to pick it up, the first sentence hitting him like a bolt of lightning. "You can only run so far, Lisa. The past is here to collect." What had just been unleashed, and could their bond withstand the storm? Jack's fingers trembled as he held the note, the gravity of its words sinking in. Lisa stared at him, her wide eyes filled with panic, desperation clawing at her throat. He could see the shadows of painful memories flickering behind her gaze, and it hurt him. This revelation was not just about secrets, it was about a lifetime lost and the hope she had built anew. "Where did this come from?" he breathed, trying to keep the tremor from his voice. The crowd buzzed around them. Whispers rippled through the gala like waves crashing onto a shore. Lisa took a step back, her face paling even further. It's an old letter," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "From someone I thought I had left behind." Jack's heart raced. "Does it have anything to do with what the stranger said? With your past?" She nodded slowly, her breath catching at the edge. "Everything." The realization crashed over Jack like a tidal wave, his mind reeling. "You stole something? What did you take, Lisa? What did you do?" He could see her struggling, the internal battle written all over her face. The seconds felt like hours, the noise of the crowd fading into a dull murmur as he focused on her. This was the moment he needed her to trust him, to let him in on the darkness that had haunted her. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to survive." Her voice broke, a hitch in her throat betraying the weight of her confession. "I left everything behind. My family, my home. I thought I could start over." "What did you think you could escape?" he asked gently, trying to pull her back from the edge of despair. Each word a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. "When I was younger, I made some mistakes, decisions from desperation. I thought I could just run. But that looks different when you're staring down the past." Tears shimmered in her eyes. "And now it's here." Jack felt a rush of protectiveness surge through him. No one should have to face their demons alone. "You don't have to fight this alone. Whatever it is, we'll face it together." She looked at him, their eyes locking in a moment of fierce connection. There was so much fear in her gaze, but also a flicker of something hopeful. "You don't understand. The past, I thought if I pretended hard enough, I could erase it. I've built a life that feels real, but I was never fully honest." "Whatever it is, Lisa, whatever mistakes you made, they don't define you now," he replied, his heart pounding with conviction. But the chaos around them persisted, conversations spiraling back into a frantic din. Jack turned to the crowd again, searching. He needed answers, but he also needed to recalibrate the atmosphere, to shield Lisa from whatever shadows lurked among them. "Let's go. We'll find somewhere quiet."
As they started to move through the crowd, Jack spotted Sarah at the edge, her expression grim. "Jack! Lisa! Wait up!" She hurried over, concern etched into her features. "Not now, Sarah," Jack urged, but the urgency in her voice stopped him. "Have either of you been listening to people talking? The stranger was looking for someone to expose," she said, her eyes darting around as if expecting the culprit to appear. "It sounded like you, Lisa." The breath caught in Jack's throat. The weight of Sarah's words felt like a chain dropped around his ankles. "Why would they want to expose her?" Jack's voice rose slightly, tinged with confusion and anger. It has to do with the past you both are running from, Sarah insisted, glancing nervously over her shoulder. But I have a plan. We need to find out more. More? Lisa echoed, a smirk of suspicion creeping into her expression. What do you mean? Let's just say I have a contact who knows about the stranger's dealings, Sarah murmured, stepping closer. But you have to trust me, and we have to do this fast. A chill ran down Jack's spine. The stakes were rising, and the tension in the air was palpable, like the calm before a violent storm. Are you ready for what comes next? He asked, turning to Lisa, the weight of his question hanging in the space between them like the shadows they were fleeing. As she locked eyes with him, hesitance warring with determination, Jack realized the true challenge lay ahead. Trusting each other would mean stepping into the light of truths long hidden. But could they survive the revelations to come? Jack felt the energy shift around them, a tight coil of anticipation and fear. Lisa was still processing Sarah's words, her brow furrowing deeper as she wrestled with a mix of emotions that threatened to swallow her whole. He reached for her hand, intertwining his fingers with hers. It was a small gesture, but one that seemed to spark a flicker of hope in her eyes. Let's move, Jack urged, keeping his voice steady. They needed to get out of the spotlight and find a space where they could think clearly, free from prying eyes and whispered judgments. The three of them maneuvered through the gala, stepping away from the clatter at champagne glasses and the laughter that felt painfully distant. As they approached a secluded corner, Jack's heart raced with apprehension. Their world was shifting, and the shadows seemed to grow longer with each step they took. When they finally reached a quiet alcove, Lisa leaned against the wall, suddenly vulnerable. The harsh fluorescent lights painted her face in stark relief, the tension from their earlier conversation evident in the way her shoulders tensed. What more could there possibly be? She murmured, glancing at Sarah with a mix of fear and trust. Everything, Sarah replied, her tone urgent but careful. We can't let the past dictate our lives. We have to confront it.
The letter, the stranger, it all links back to something bigger. Jack watched Lisa closely, his insides twisting. This wasn't just about the letter anymore. It was about everything she had tucked away beneath layers of pretense. Lisa, he said softly, what did you take? I need you to tell me so we can figure this out. She inhaled sharply, her voice shaking as she began to share her truth. It was money. A lot of it. I thought it was my way out, my chance to start fresh, but it's always haunted me, like a ghost I can never shake off. Jack's heart sank. The weight of her confession settled heavily in the air, and he could see the guilt etched across her features. You've carried this for so long, he murmured. We need to understand what it means now. How serious is this? I don't know, she admitted, tears glistening in her eyes. But the stranger is tied to it in ways I can't grasp yet. I thought I could bury it all under success and a new life. I never imagined it would come back like this. Sarah took a step closer, her phone buzzing in her pocket. I have a connection who might know how to handle this. They've got dirt on a lot of people, and they can help us figure out what to do next. The uncertainty wrapped around Jack like a thick fog, but he nodded. We need answers before the people looking for you find us first. He turned to Lisa, whose face was drenched in a myriad of emotions, fear, shame, and a flicker of bravery. You are not alone in this, Lisa. We are in this together now. With a deep breath, she straightened, determination hardening her features. All right, let's do it. I've been running long enough. As they prepared to head back into the storm of the gala, Jack felt a surge of hope mingling with the anxiety. They were stepping into the unknown, but together, the weight of their combined determination made him believe they could confront whatever was looming. The echo of the party was louder now, laughter and music mixing with their racing hearts. But as Jack caught Lisa's eye, a question lingered in the air between them. What if facing her past only opened more doors to darkness? Jack shook the thought away. They were on the edge of something big, something that could change everything. Outside he felt a shift, a rush of cold air as they stepped back into the world. He paused, glancing over his shoulder to meet Lisa's anxious gaze. Are you ready to unravel the truth? He asked gently, the weight of the moment pressing down on them, both tentative and resolute. The flicker of determination in his eyes met his, a shared understanding forming a bond that felt unbreakable. Yet as they moved forward, he couldn't ignore the cold knot twisting in his stomach. How far back did this rabbit hole go, and what horrors might they uncover? Stepping out of the gala's glow, the chill of the night wrapped around Jack, Lisa, and Sarah like a heavy blanket. The laughter faded behind them, but the weight of what they faced loomed larger now. Jack could see Lisa struggling to breathe, her chest rising and falling as if she were just told to dive into the deep end. Let's find somewhere private, Sarah urged, glancing around, her instincts sharp as ever. They ducked around a corner and approached an overgrown courtyard attached to the old building.
The air felt different here, raw and electrifying. Jack caught a glimpse of a nearby streetlight flickering, casting dancing shadows. "Tell me more about this connection," Jack said, keeping his eyes on Sarah. "Who are they? Can we trust them?" Sarah took a moment to gather her thoughts. "Hunter's his name. He's unconventional, but he knows people. He has a knack for digging up dirt that others might want to stay buried." Lisa leaned against a stone wall, her expression tightening. "And what if he finds out more than we want? What if he ends up being part of the problem, not the solution?" Jack squeezed her hand tighter. "We have to take that risk. You already took one when you made that decision years ago. We can't back down now." A sound echoed in the distance. Jack's heart raced as he scanned the dark street, half expecting to see someone lurking. "Let's just keep moving." With Sarah leading, they weaved through the narrow streets until they reached a small cafe, its bright neon sign buzzing with life. The inside was cozy, with wooden tables and chairs, and a faint smell of fresh coffee walking through the air. As they settled at a corner table, Jack could sense the tension in the air, but also a flicker of decision beginning to glow within Lisa. "What do we even say to Hunter once we find him?" Lisa asked, nervously flipping sugar pack between her fingers. "We tell him the truth," Sarah said firmly. "We've done enough running. We face it head on, no more secrets. That's the only way we can break free from this." Jack nodded, feeling the truth of Sarah's words. They each had their pasts that needed confronting, but for Lisa, this was the moment of honesty that could redefine everything. The truth could either be a weapon or a shield. He could only hope it would be the latter. As they sipped on their drinks, an unexpected hush settled over the cafe. A conversation floated over from a nearby table. "Did you hear about that millionaire? Turns out he's been connected to some major scandal. A lawyer caught up in it all. 18 years later, and it's blowing up." A cold wave ran through Jack. It was too close for comfort. Could it be about Lisa's situation? He exchanged quick glances with Sarah, then turned to Lisa, whose face had drained of color. "Do you think—" she started, her voice trembling. "Could it be tied to me?" "I don't know," Jack replied, and he meant it. The urge to protect her and silence the world outside battled inside him. "But we can't let fear guide us. We need to know what's out there."
The silence fell heavier, as if the very walls listened with bated breath. Jack watched Lisa's fingers tremble over the coffee cup, the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. "Are we ready to dig deeper?" he asked, the question more for himself than anyone, because what if uncovering the truth meant tearing open wounds better left sealed? As Lisa's eyes met his, there was a storm brewing behind them. "I have to know the truth," she whispered, "even if it changes everything." Jack felt the knot in his stomach squeeze tighter as he glanced at Sarah, who nodded firmly. They were on the brink of something unshakable together. But as they readied themselves to face Hunter and the truth, a new question loomed in Jack's mind. What if the truth was even darker than they imagined? What if everything they thought they knew was built on lies set in motion years ago? The cafe buzzed with energy, but Jack's mind was clouded by uncertainty. Lisa looked like a storm about to break, and as Jack cupped her hand in his, he felt the torrent of emotions coursing through her. They all knew that facing Hunter meant peeling back layers of pain, and the fear of the unknown loomed large. Just as Sarah's phone buzzed violently on the table, she quickly silenced it. "That could be him," she said, checking the screen with wide eyes. "What do we do?" Jack felt a rush of dread. "We answer," Sarah said with a resolute nod, her voice steady. "We can't run anymore." The three of them leaned in closer, their breath mingling with the moment's tension. Sarah took a deep breath and hit call, and an edge of anticipation tinged the quiet cafe. A few rings, then a gravelly voice came through. "You made it," Hunter said, the tension palpable as he leaned towards an unyielding truth. "Meet me at the old courthouse. I'll help you find out what I know." The courthouse. Jack felt his pulse quicken. It was the very place where Lisa's past intertwined with their present. "Can you tell us more?" Jack asked, brushing the surface of his own doubts. "Don't ask questions. Just show up," Hunter replied, and the line went dead. "Are we really doing this?" Lisa's voice trembled, but determination sparkled in her eyes. "Are we going back?" "Sometimes going back is the only way to move forward," Jack assured her, squeezing her hand again. They finished their drinks and stepped back into the night, the chill wrapping around them in an embrace laden with both dread and promise. The courtyard lay just around the corner, shrouded in darkness, and with each step, the gravity of their actions pressed into Jack's chest. Lisa's hand was still clasped tightly in his as they approached the old structure. The air cracked with anticipation, haunted by echoes of the past.
Remember, Sarah whispered just before they entered, no matter what he says, you're not alone. Stepping through the doors, the building loomed large, old and weighty with memories.
Dust danced in the beams of moonlight filtering through the cracked windows, and the silence inside felt charged, almost alive. "Where are you?" Hunter's voice cut through the stillness from a shadowed corner. His figure loomed, dark and intimidating, but there was an undeniable sharpness in his eyes that Jack could trust. "Here," Jack spoke, his voice resolute. "Good," Hunter replied, waving them closer. "You want answers? You need to confront your fears." "Just tell us what you know," Lisa said, her voice steady now, courage shining through the storm. "Your past is tangled up with someone powerful, Lisa," Hunter began, his tone blunt. "Even though you're doing good now, it doesn't erase what happened. The money you took, it belonged to a very influential person." Jack exchanged glances with Lisa. She was breaking down walls she had built around her heart, and he felt the rawness of vulnerability wash over them. "Who?" Lisa asked, her voice small but fierce. "Let's just say your actions reached further than you realized. You've built a life while someone else lost everything because of it. Now their secret is out, and you might not have as much time as you thought." "What does that mean?" Jack questioned, fear creeping into his words. "It means someone is coming for you, and they won't stop until they reclaim what's theirs." Lisa took a step back, the color draining from her face. "I thought I left it behind. I thought I was free." Her voice trembled. Her steadiness was faltering. "Freedom comes with a price," Hunter said, unapologetic. "You were running from your truth and hoping it would stay buried, but the past often rises like a phoenix." "What does that even mean?" Jack felt frustration spike. "Are you saying we're going to be hunted for something Lisa didn't understand was happening?" "Yes," Hunter replied. "Either you find the truth and confront it together, or you let it consume you." Silence stretched, thick and unnerving. Jack's heart raced as the weight of possibility settled. What did they have to lose? Everything they built together? Turning to Lisa, he saw the flicker of hope igniting again. "Then we'll confront it. No more running." He took a step closer, and she nodded, a mix of fear and resolve bubbling between them. "We'll face it together," Jack vowed, pulling her in tighter against the darkness enveloping them. "Fine," Hunter said with a smirk, "but it won't be easy. Are you sure you're ready for this?" "Yes," Jack replied, his voice like steel. "We're ready." As they stepped further into the darkened room, Jack felt a whirlwind of bravery surge through them. The night may be daunting, but beneath the layers of secrets lay potential for healing and transformation. With Lisa by his side, they embraced the uncertain future. Together, they prepared to confront the ghosts of their past. Would they break free, or would the darkness pull them under? Only time would tell, and they were ready to step into the light of truth, hand in hand. And in that moment of courage, Jack knew this was the beginning of their real journey, not just of uncovering truth, but reclaiming their lives together. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories revealing more transformations like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Your thumbs up really makes a difference. Comment below about your thoughts and feelings regarding this powerful ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation, because only true fans understand the importance of standing together in overcoming life's challenges. Don't wait not even one more second to share.